Wiring up. Gee.
Scratch to your heart's content. We haven't really left the house much, so should be safe.
If you are watching this episode in the future, oh, sorry, can you look at the monitor just to double check audio? Test. Yeah, there, it's moving. If you are watching this episode in the future, this is a recorded live stream. So please wait for a few minutes while we wait for some of our viewers. You can jump 5 minutes forward to the start of the show. Should have waiting music.
You're gonna say something like that. But the waiting music we all like, you cannot use.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, da, 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 da.
It's either that or like we co-op the CCP music.
We will open again.
Okay, manually resharing links.
Mm-hmm.
Double checking if streams are running well. Oh, unlock the group ambassador of tag sessions.
What who's
I don't know. I got some sort of you've unlocked the group ambassador of tag sessions.
for the page?
I guess.
It's not in your notice.
There,
Group ambassador
because I
badge.
keep posting
But-
in my own group.
I know. Right?
Okay.
Congratulations, you have a badge for your own group. Hey, Mitch.
Hi, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch.
Oh, look, it's not our image.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Was it because my nose was itchy?
Yes, this is the logical conclusion. That your nose was
So they
itchy.
scratch my nose, and maybe they like, don't show that, pull it.
That's totally it. That's obviously it. Mark's like exotic with quotation marks. Yes. Thanks, Mitch. I'm sure she is.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we're trying to balance. We're trying to balance. Um, that this is a viewer requested topic, so we still are addressing the topic, but at the same time, there are probably some concerns with the topic. Tom is here. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom. I think we're good. See, it really is. Congrats, you've earned a badge for growing membership of Tag Sessions group by sharing the group or inviting others to join.
Display the badge. It won't override your admin badge, but these we ordered. Mark's asking about our Night Vale shirt, so we ordered these directly off of
Mhm.
the Night Vale store
All hail the Google Cloud.
quite some time ago, as you can tell by the size of the shirts.
Should we have a politics episode then? While wearing this, talking about people we hope will run, won't run. Without
I don't
naming
have enough
names.
people. Okay, then it's like just vague speaking about political
Mhm.
people. Wow, I don't know. I
Or
don't know how
it's
that's
like
gonna go.
in as much as I love him, I don't want Adama to run for president. You know, that sort of thing.
So it's a fictional electoral race.
They're mostly fictional anyway. Which of them is real? Anyway, we should get started.
Yeah, these are limited edition shirts from the election run.
Borrow McDonald's.
What?
Yeah, let's start the show.
I guess we'll start the show. All right, give us a moment. We'll run the title sequence, what it really is. Oh yeah!
Baduy Pride!
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It's completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. This Tuesday, for a moment I had to think, was it Tuesday? Because it was the start of the work week. This Tuesday, we usually talk about food. And today's requested topic was an interesting topic because of the choice of words.
Yeah, it was literally just exotic food.
Mhm.
But we're gonna unpack that first before we kind of dive into it.
So, quick greetings to the people who are joining the live stream.
Thank you for joining.
Hello, Mitch and Karen in spirit. Hello, Mark,
And Tom.
Tom. Let's talk about that E word.
Elections.
When I was younger,
Okay.
I loved the word exotic
Okay.
because it always made me think it was something that was promising something different, something strange,
Something
new.
exciting. Mhm.
And it wasn't until much later that I realized that there was a lot of baggage related to the topic because it does basically say baseline normal is this, and
Yes.
all of you are weird.
Yeah, or at least atypical, not normal,
and
whatever.
and that it was much later in life, meaning within the last 5-10 years, that I came to realize how negative it can be
Or at least
to
how loaded it
to
is.
embrace a mindset that you are not the norm and everyone else like yourself
Okay.
is the weird outsider.
Yeah. This is not to say that, I guess the intent behind saying a food is exotic is
Mhm.
entirely bad.
Yes.
I'm sure that it's for many, it's well intentioned. It
Mhm.
refers to a certain thing. So we can unpack what makes food, quote unquote, exotic to a
Mm-mm.
person, and then there are more specific things
Mhm.
to talk about.
At the most generic level of the definition, in terms of dictionaries, exotic simply means unusual or especially interesting because it's from far away.
Yes.
And with that definition, that makes everyone else's food exotic.
Yeah, as long
So,
as you're eating like foreign cuisine,
mhm.
not endemic to your region, then it could be potentially exotic.
But of course, speaking now in a point in the world wherein we are all super multicultural,
Mm.
it is hard to still find that term as applicable. Because what you could say, a fugu is exotic because we don't have fugu here. But that's speaking for now.
Mm.
And why the word exotic? Why not use other words which are not necessarily as loaded? Like maybe it's traditional, maybe it's cultural, or there are different ways to define it.
Noel asked the good question of how far is far away. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that I would move away. I mean, generally, obviously, what we're saying is that we can move away from the term exotic,
Mm-mm.
but at the very least, it is trying something new. It is trying something unfamiliar.
Mm-mm.
It is trying a dish with uh, creative use of ingredients, or perhaps ingredients you have not tried before.
Or things that you might not normally think of as the first thing you'll order.
Yeah. So so rather than exotic, I guess we can focus on these things as being exciting
Hmm.
things. Adventurous also still feels weird, but I guess exciting food. I love to go for exciting food. Okay. So what qualifies that for you, or like what because admittedly Toby is very daring in the food
Hmm.
department, and he'll be always like, "Ooh, let's try blank."
Hmm.
So
We're talking about food.
are we?
Mhm.
I've seen that face in both cases. All right.
No, don't
So
say that on air.
too late. All right. So, but yeah. So like, when do you think about this sort of food thing?
Um, okay, so for me, and of course my my mileage, my experience is not universal. That's a truism we always must embrace.
Thank you, Kimmy Schmidt.
We are always coming from something from our own perspective,
Yeah.
so we should never see it as a universal statement. Um, so for me, despite being Filipino,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of local food do still count as interesting, new, exciting things for me.
Yeah.
Like I remember when we first went to Sarsa,
Mm-hmm.
that first time we were there,
Yeah.
and we were looking at sorry, the menu, and we're like, kansi, what's kansi? And then we were looking at it. Oh, it's made with this and that, and it was such a delight
Mm-hmm.
to experience. The same thing goes with. I remember my first experiences with everything from buro to bagoong balayan to pinaupong manok, and then even stuff like um, you know how there are just so many different desserts, and sometimes
Yes, this is Toby's world.
sometimes it might be just they're all coconut milk, but one is prepared this way, the other one's prepared that way, the other one has a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it changes
Oh, Julius is
entirely.
here. Hello, Julius.
So I guess that's the thing for me. Noel mentions if I eat something, I'll stick to that from Pampanga, exotic na yon. And I
It
think that's the thing I want to bring up here. It's not a question of distance.
Yeah, I think it's a question of familiarity.
Yes, it's a question of familiarity and availability.
Mm, true.
Because and this might sound a bit classist, but um, for us, we might be going pizza, that's every day, spaghetti, that's every day, but there are people who've never had spaghetti beyond, let's say, Jollibee spaghetti.
Yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind, that just because something is so normal or so everyday for us, that doesn't mean it's not something exciting for someone else.
Yeah, I think about this for things like landlocked parts of, the continental
Mm-hmm.
United States, where seafood is
Mm-hmm.
harder to come by
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that what the water sources are so far away,
Mm-hmm.
and thus they only when they do have seafood, it's often like traveled a long distance. It has
Mm-hmm.
been frozen or pre-processed somehow or preserved somehow, and their experience with seafood is very different than, for example,
Mm-hmm.
people who live in coastal towns and things like that. So the unfamiliar is often determined by
Mm-hmm.
where you're based, and I guess what food you have access to, whether
Yes.
geographically or monetarily
Yeah.
or whatever, culturally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people who grow up in very diet restricted households
Mm-hmm.
for different
Yeah,
reasons.
I mean, what was that show wherein we saw they were a community living on an island
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by, fish and wildlife and all that, but they were vegetarian as far as how they were focused on their lifestyle. So they were, they did not, they're not familiar with the different seafood available and stuff. And, so that's what I'm saying, that geography is not the final decision.
Yeah, yeah. So we're although that is like the common dictionary definition for quote unquote exotic,
Mm-hmm.
we're moving away from this term entirely and just celebrating um, exciting food experiences and new food
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So Noelle is asking where's Aina? Yeah, food episode. We totally need her, but it's okay. She's probably working out or something. Okay, uh, so there's that. There's like the recombination thing. Okay, a common attack or approach for things that become quote unquote exotic is normally unfamiliar ingredients or
Yes.
um like to flip the script. It's like when we have foreign visitors and then there's always someone who's going to suggest, "Oh, we have to make them try balut,"
Mm-hmm.
which because the way we eat duck eggs is not common maybe outside the
Mm-hmm.
region.
But then, as we have noticed, it's even more exciting for them to try stuff like sinigang
Mm.
or kare kare,
Mm-hmm.
because those are really good
And
dishes.
the flavors are
and
just very unique.
and they don't, they've never really had stuff like that. I remember when a friend for the first time tried champorado and was like, why do you have chocolate on rice? And I was like, trust me, try it. And then
Which could have been a quote unquote exotic experience for this person,
Exactly.
but ultimately it's just something new and something different.
So Julius shares frog meat is exotic for me. If it is indeed cooked properly, I would want to try it.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a large number of people who
Hmm.
have frog meat on a more regular basis,
Yes.
and there's like normally there's always a lot of these videos of, I think, was it Thailand or Vietnam, where they have a lot of insects that
Mm.
they
Mm-hmm.
grill and prepare, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a little intimidating because it's something that we don't normally
Crunchy.
do, but it is exciting, and I think that I'm sure that if Toby and I had an opportunity, we we would at least try it. I'm sure Toby's
Yeah.
gonna.
Remember when we tried those
Oh
worms,
my God, the ones in Palawan.
which are officially not worms? They're officially mollusks,
Yeah,
but they were supposedly called woodworms or something like that. Um,
what were they called?
it was kinilaw, the mango
Tamilok.
tamilok.
Okay,
There you
Tamilok.
go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was so good. Um, Mark Poa shares, I remember my wife had salmon sashimi for the first time we were dating.
See? Ooh.
I also had seaweed lato first time with her.
Oh,
Lato.
yeah.
Ooh.
I only ate lato with Toby.
And it's funny because when you look online, people would be like, it's the caviar of the sea, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what caviar is from the sea? So I'm, I'm, yeah, uh, and then it's stuff like that, right? Because admittedly, when I first experienced lato, um, I was afraid of it because it does look pretty alien.
Mm-hmm.
You have these little tiny globes of green.
Tiny bubbles.
They look like super small grapes, which is awesome. But then at the same time, they're on these branches, which when they're served, they're usually smaller na. But when you see them in the markets, they're like
Yeah,
mounds,
yeah.
right?
They're these
They're,
huge things.
they look like those mounds that get caught in a bangka when it's coming in from the tide. And you wouldn't think that they're edible on first glance. And I remember my dad was like, no, try it. And I had a double whammy because that day I tried lato was the same day I tried um, ah yeah purple plant which I eat with bagoong.
Ube?
No. We steam it.
Alugbati.
Alugbati.
Okay.
And I super fell in love with alugbati. I like lato, but I love alugbati.
That's to be fair. Yeah, I also only ate alugbati with Toby. And then, I mean, like, it's even things like it wasn't in my, until my adult independent working life that I
Mhm.
finally tried things like laing. I had never had laing
Mm-mm.
growing up.
Mhm.
So, which, was an exciting thing. And then I learned that I really appreciate coconut milk and green leafy vegetables, like
And
deep green stuff in
and
coconut
oh
milk.
boy, coconut, the versatility and the it has so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even just the coconut nut fruit milk meat. I mean, all that already is just there, palang. Then you're not talking about yet how the leaves can affect flavor and all this and that. Mark shares Thailand insect snacks. There's a version that was like crunchy delis.
Mm.
Noel shares, never tried those fried crickets. I want to.
Toby just wants to like say he ate a bug.
No, I've already done that. So
Okay, but like eat more bugs, and then especially like if it's like aggressive
no,
one, you'll be like,
I
"Arr,
honestly think
arr,
they're yummy because I could
arr."
already imagine, you
You
know.
ever seen a dog chase a bug? Yeah, that Toby wants to eat the bug. Arr, arr. See?
um, Ethan Mercado shares we call it our arosep. Wait, I have to go
What's
backwards to
yeah?
see what I was. There was an earlier message I'm sure we missed.
I don't know. I didn't see any. And
Yeah.
then Tom mentions that he's only had it once because his dad caught one during a fishing trip, which was pagi sagata, which is
Oh,
stingray.
yeah, stingray. I've heard about that.
Stingray.
Arosep is the lato.
Ah, okay,
Sea grapes, as some call it.
okay. Noel shares longanisa across regions are exotic. So I think that there is a whole world of longanisa that I don't understand because nga, there's like so many regional differences,
Mm-mm.
and it fascinates me. Like whenever people will be like, "Oh, I have longanisa from this place," I wish I knew instinctively what that
Yes.
meant. Like I never know. I
Same.
never know what's the difference until
Same.
like I try it, and then I think I need like a proper, I don't know, longanisa tasting plate to like better appreciate the differences between
And I think
regions.
that's how it is. Unless you are really ingrained in that region and culture, identifying these subtle differences are hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could imagine for some people they might have the different types of sinigang, and as far as they're concerned, they're all just sour soup,
Mm.
not realizing how distinct the flavors of sinigang na guava is to sinigang na sampalok. Um, and likewise, um, that's why I don't get truffle.
Mark says, there is a lot of fish and coconut milk dishes, no? And I think that's a thing. I think it's a and again, I think it speaks to what is common.
Yeah, you use what's there.
Yeah, and then you have a lot of seaside communities with both access to seafood and
Hmm.
coconuts, and
And admittedly,
there's the
that's
match.
what fascinates me about the Philippines because we have such a varied flavor profile. Despite sometimes having generally the same ingredients with just one or two things different.
Huh. Noel asks, says, "What's random thought bubble? What's the difference in exotic? Let's put that up. Exotic and delicacy."
I think,
And then I think it's like who's saying so.
yeah, I think it's who's saying so, and I also think is how much.
Yeah, I think when like okay, I'll be totally crass. Like when a foreign food correspondent discover something that they like, and then they'll say that, ooh, now it's a delicacy because it is both unfamiliar to them and not common where they come from, and therefore they have to go all the way here, which gives a value of rarity.
So, delicacy, as far as actual definitions,
Okay,
tends to be about rare or expensive food,
okay, okay.
considered highly desirable, sophisticated, peculiarly distinctive given within a given
Oh
culture.
no, then it's like truffle.
Exactly. Now, the funny thing about it is when you talk about the rarity and expensiveness of something, there's actual rarity.
Yeah, and
For
then
example, there are some delicacies that are delicacies because it takes long to prepare.
yes.
But then you also have the artificial delicacy, wherein either they've controlled how it's distributed or they've marketed it to the point that this is now seen as super expensive.
Like, is your champagne truly from the Champagne region in
Mm-mm.
France? And all that, and things. Okay, missed a few things. Mark did also say that grasshoppers are crunchy. Crickets tasted more waxy. What an interesting
Mm.
comparison. Okay.
Roaches were kind of chalky, not by choice.
Oh, I remember that story. All right, then Julia says a variety of lumpia. Also, yeah, there are many different types of lumpia based on preparation, ingredients, and such. And yeah, I don't think we fully know all. And he adds or calamay sabaw, which I thought is another version of coconut milk. I'm not familiar with this.
Mhm.
Okay.
So Kenny also shares his mom's Bisaya and grew up by the seashore. So all the dishes she knows to cook are either seafood or vegetable filled.
Yeah, so it depends on what you're familiar
But
with.
despite that, I can still imagine certain types of seafood would still be quite new for her because they're not available in that region.
Mm, mm.
I remember how um, I used to be fascinated with sea urchin.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, when we go out into restaurants, oh, it's expensive, sige, but let's get it because I miss it. And then we hear about, I forgot the name of that friend who was staying in the beach for such a protracted period. And they were like just grabbing sea urchins on the floor and opening and eating it because it was like street food.
Mm-mm.
So parang, and then the same thing with Japan, right? When it comes to sashimi and the like, you have the street food level, it's just food. But then you also have areas in Japan where it's 5-star prepared by masters, which then makes you wonder now is it now a delicacy because of that? Because now it's laden with years of experience, with mastery and all this and that. But at the same time, it's still just also fish.
Yeah. And I feel that way whenever even we just go to the grocery and then you look at the seafood section and
Mm-mm.
I don't know most of the fish. Like,
Mm-mm.
most average, I guess, Manila people.
Mm-mm.
Then the fish you're regularly exposed to are at least like what lapu-lapu is,
Mm-mm.
tilapia and maybe and of course bangos. And
Mm-mm.
that's like That's the fish that everybody knows.
Mm.
But then there are all these other fish when you look at the seafood stall and like, what's this? I think it was only like in a previous relationship that I first got. I forgot what they're called now. Was it plapla or something? One of the flat fish,
Mm-mm.
and then he deep fry it, and then like, oh, okay, that works out. And then it's that classic. If you deep fry anything long enough, the bones become super brittle, and then
Yeah.
it's a bit more manageable. So there's still like, but there's still so many fish I don't
Mm-mm.
know or don't know
Mm-mm.
how to prepare. And when we're sometimes we like, we should try more seafood, and then you look, and then like, I don't know what we're going to do.
So Mark Poa asks delicate. Yes, the word delicacy did come from the root word, which was to refer to something delicate or special or fragile, and hence it reached towards that. Um, Julius thought caviar was sago.
Oh, that's very
Um,
expensive, salty
Noel
sago.
shares that the term can be applied to oneself. I think we are all delicacies. It's
Ew.
just a question if we're yummy. Uh,
We're not on the market. No.
Mark mentions travel wise, I do grab at least one fast food meal, but order something unique to the country. And I consider that exotic.
Hey, because even fast food can be fun.
Yes.
Like, I remember that traveling, it's always like, ooh, what's the difference with the
How
McDonald's
do they
menu?
make it more
Local.
local? So like
Yeah.
the Philippines is infamous for we have rice meals.
Yeah.
And that freaks people out.
Yeah, yeah,
They go to
yeah.
McDonald's, they have rice meals. But likewise, we can go to other countries and we'll likewise see strange, or in many ways, like in Japan, things that we wish they had here as well.
Yeah, or it's like really simple things like, most fast food places in Singapore don't just serve ketchup but also chili sauce,
Mm. And
right?
then and
In
then there
packets.
and then there are the
And there's
halal
like, yeah,
dishes.
whether it's
Yeah.
halal or not. And then and yeah.
Curries were predominantly present in I think Burger King and McDonald's as well, right?
Mm. And then of course whatever seasonal burger,
Mm-mm.
the yearly prosperity burger for Chinese New Year and all these things, and they're all just very different. Um, Mitch is like, ooh, and then 7-Eleven unique in each country. That too. It's like sometimes the familiar chains, because they transform
Mm-mm.
slightly in the local context, then it becomes a lot more fun, and then you can have adventures without going too far out of your comfort zone.
And a large thing that has I'd like to think that if we're not looking at this as people owning restaurants and the like,
Mm-mm.
then the way the world has become such a smaller place thanks to both internet, cultural exchanges, and people celebrating diversity is the fact that less and less are things super quote unquote exotic
Mm-hmm.
because we are now all sharing this and that dishes and even making fusions, coming up with our approaches.
Yeah, so Julia's earlier question, like he was asking, is century I consider an exotic food? I
It
think to some,
it was before
yeah,
because it was prepared in a traditional way.
yeah, and the it wasn't as widely exported
Yes.
as it is now.
But then with the developments of technology and food and the like, then there are now faster ways to prepare similar dishes. Ramen used to also be an exotic food to some extent,
Yeah,
and then it became more common.
yeah. Then yeah, Mark affirmed that. Okay, and then Noel complaining like in Malaysia there's no gravy. My sister has the same complaint in like KFC Singapore that the gravy is different now.
Mm-mm,
She feels it's very different.
mm-mm.
Ooh, Marco shares Taiwan's KFC egg tarts is better than Macau. I cannot compare either. So, but that's an interesting insight.
I want to try those now.
Um, Kenny, he visited Dubai and tried their version of KFC's Twister. The flatbread they use as a wrapper had so much more flavor compared to the ones in the Philippines. And I wonder, yeah, it's probably closer to like a, ooh, I'm probably misspeaking, but something like a pita or its local equivalent to like for that, that kind
Mm.
of fare. Okay. Julia's asking about atay. Yeah, and then same thing. A lot of, I think a classic uh fallback is a lot of quote unquote sweetbreads, but which is like in itself a French, cooking term. A lot of use of organs, innards, entrails, whatnot. Can feel very unfamiliar to many, but then it's
Mm-mm.
like very common in our cuisine. So I
But at the
wouldn't.
same time, despite common in our cuisine, might still be new or weird for people who aren't used to doing that.
That's true.
So, like, have you tried Betamax?
Yes.
So I know some friends who would be like, "What? Do you eat that? Have you had the Adidas? Yeah,
Yes. You
but
know me and chicken feet.
but did you have the helmet?
No.
You don't like eating the chicken head?
I wasn't sure about that. It's like this time that I think was it my dad who brought home this. They had a big Chinese dinner
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, and then he came home with pigeon,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like,
Yeah,
really?
but pigeon's not fun to eat. There's so many bones.
I was too young. It was really more a lot of like, what the heck is that? And it was, and of course, weird statements like, "Ooh, and the brain is the best bit." And the thing, oh, and same thing like with this ox brain. If you've gone to a lot of like, kebab places, it's like a common
Ox
thing.
brain is so good.
Okay, so yeah, so things that things that change. Okay,
Yeah,
um,
bulalo is another one of those um, surprising for other people type of dishes.
Mark had an experience of street food. Malaysia had a street burger that was like minute burger there that had chili sauce, fried egg, cabbage, and Maggi Savor. Hey, why not? Okay.
Noel, of course, mentions the 1 day old duck eggs. I I have trouble eating those
Why?
because I imagine them talking to me.
It's funny. I had an easier time with that. So the one with the partial chick, right?
Hmm.
That's what we're talking about. So I had easier time eating that than the what's it Penoy is the other type,
The one
diba?
that's just the yellow,
But it just but it's
mostly soup
harder,
and the
right?
hard yellow thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
I
was always
I, I
confused.
enjoy the 1 day old things. I have a hard time when I start to empathize with it because there was that point in school where we dissected it to study it.
Okay.
So I can always visualize that wrapped shape, and I sometimes imagine it while eating
Oh,
it.
Noel asking the group, what's the soup that's made of animal balls? What's that called? I don't know. But then the
Wasn't that?
joke
Yeah, the joke was
is
soup
like soup
number.
number five.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what it is.
I don't know why it's five. Maybe it's because five. I don't know.
Let's see what if it's their soup number. Soup.
Yeah, but
Wow,
why?
look at that.
But why five? Why was it called five? See, that's what
Uh,
I'm wondering about. Why was it called soup number five? I was thinking because it's like you're cupping it with your five fingers as a five. Is that the reason?
was it on some magical menu and then it was the fifth item, or it became a euphemism?
Hmm.
Okay, why is it called soup number five? So supposedly, this article from the Star says it may have originated in Manila's Chinatown district, and then no one wanted to say, "Hey, the bull sexual organ soup is ready," and so it sort of became soup number five as following soup number four. I'm loading the full article. Uh,
The fifth ingredient's full of protein, Viagra-like effect supposedly, but that's it. That's just it.
and so there's four types of soups under the culinary sky, which are soups one to four, which refers to the common main ingredients: chicken, pork, beef, and seafood.
Hmm.
So the supposed soup number five is the fifth soup. Okay, that's cool. I learned something today. Okay. Oh, but then Dennis says it's a direct translation of the name. Uh, and then in Chinese restaurants, the menus had numbers. That's true. That's true. And that's like super helpful when you don't speak Chinese. And you're always like, I'll get a two and a thing. Okay. Okay. All right. So you've brought up lists of unusual foods.
Yeah. So the first part of the list is, of course, things we're familiar with. There was century-old eggs. There's the deep fried tarantula, which we talked about the insects in
The
Thailand.
Thailand stuff.
There's
Okay.
the fried silkworm. This one I'm really, really curious to try it.
Because then you feel like you're Lion King. Like, ooh, Hakuna slimy yet satisfying.
Then of
Balut
course
is on the
balut is
list.
mentioned
Yay!
in the less glamorous name of duck fetus, with the picture showing the head severed from the egg
Okay,
on a
number
spoon.
one, it's on a spoon. And what the hell is this guy doing digging into an egg with a spoon?
And then you
Okay.
have grilled dog,
Mm.
which is,
Vietnam, Cambodia, China.
yeah.
Well, it still happens.
You have
Okay.
chicken feet.
See, it's so sad that chicken feet is considered that. But when it's so like it's so ubiquitous already. Like we have so many
Well,
chicken
because
feet
because
dishes.
when it comes to other countries, something is exotic the moment it doesn't just look like a slab of meat.
Yeah.
At any point in time, it looks different than a slab of meat. It
Yeah. And
enters
there's a
itself.
lot of wastage, and then like and because a lot of the food regulation only covers like the main parts, then because the regulations don't cover the other parts, then it's even hard
Mm-hmm.
to purchase such things. I mean, and there are many stories of people who have migrated to the US and then they're unable to get certain things because they're just not available.
So there's hakkarl, which is rotten shark from Iceland. It's a
Oh,
fermented meat type of shark.
I'm yeah,
We remember seeing some
we
documentaries of
watched
this.
I think the documentary about Noma, and then like they're really experimenting with fermenting and rotting and decaying, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's fascinating that this is a thing that they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And for people who are thinking, why would you eat anything rotten or ferment or but then that's what bagoong is. That's
Cheese
what
most
buro
yeah.
is. That's what most cheeses are.
Okay.
So Vietnam has cat meat.
Oh, Mitch says she tried kangaroo and crocodile. I think we kind of
Yeah,
talked
I've
about this
tried
in
that as
previous
well.
episodes. But can't
But
help but think it's kangaroo or crocodile. Hmm.
bashashi in Japan is horse meat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um, chorizo, blood sausage in Brazil. So people still find that
But it's
unthinkable.
funny because isn't it black pudding in the UK is also
Hmm.
blood derived sausage, whatever.
Molokhia in Egypt. The quote the description looks more like a green soup made out of snot.
What is it
Um,
though?
uh, wow, they don't break down what
They
it's
don't
made of,
even say what it is.
but it looks like it's just a lot of chopped
It just
leaves.
leaves.
So it's like
Okay.
a pesto basically,
Molokhia.
but they of course think it's weird.
Molokhia.
Fried cow brain is mentioned as one of the Egypt dishes as well.
Oh,
Pid
Molokhia is the name of the leaves.
okay there.
Okay, okay, that's why.
Pigeon in Egypt, sheep's head in Morocco, and yes, you could still see the head.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one list.
Okay. Mark also shares he had crocodile steak in Davao. He didn't get the appeal.
Mhm.
And then Mitch has had Korean blood sausage, and well, it says in Korea blood sausage it's called Sunday. So
Mhm.
see, there's so many versions of it around the world.
Yeah. Tom also shares a British cooking channel trying century egg, among the other things. They had a hard time with it. For me, that was the least offensive. Again,
It's just the exposure,
mhm,
experience, familiarity that
mm-mm.
drives a lot of these things.
And you know how shows will, of course, up it up and try to make it
But
much more.
to some degree, like we kind of play into the same
Yeah.
sensibilities because again, like when you have visiting friends, whatever, people who are from different offices, how it's only a matter of time before someone suggests balut, and it's not like we eat balut every
And
day,
then
but then we like
likewise,
to see the
there are
experience.
things that some of us will not be okay with despite coming from here. I, for example, I don't think I'll ever appreciate durian.
Mm, mm.
And I know that I have friends who will swear by it that it's the best thing they've had, and I've tried and I still don't appreciate it.
Kenny shares he tried alligator meat in Palawan and was surprised at how soft and delicate the meat is. And then you buy it depends on preparation. And sometimes that can make or break your quote unquote exotic experience. I mean like when we had the woodworm thing,
Hmm.
that was like surprising. I had no idea what to expect and then we just went
I
for it.
remember freaking out when I realized it was available because
Yeah.
we just landed on that tour. On our way out, I noticed that woman on the chair
Yeah,
selling.
yeah.
And it's like I went back and asked them, "Oh my god, they have that!" And oh yeah.
Yeah, and we did a tour first. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Ooh, all right. Then the next says,
So there's snake soup in China.
oh, okay.
There's sheep's head, as mentioned earlier, in Norway. There's the Strostroming, which is the smelliest food in the world, a fermented
It's another
fish
fermented thing.
in Sweden. There's edible fat-bottomed ants
Ooh,
called Hormiga culona. I'm not sure if I'm
from
pronouncing it right, from
Colombia.
Colombia. Um, they're roasted or eaten
Oh,
like
look, and they're
peanuts.
highlighting bird's nest soup. Really?
Hmm.
Okay.
Because again, the idea that it's something that the birds are spitting out or something,
Mm.
it makes you envision it works your imagination.
Yeah, and a lot of food is about understanding it. And when you can't process it in your brain, then it's easy to like make it crazier. Oh look, Tummy Look is here. Okay.
Mm.
The woodworm. Tummy
Cow's
Look was nice. And I like it
intestines,
because it was very ceviche.
Mexico. Yeah. There's of course deep fried butter balls,
Okay,
USA.
I'm glad they stuck some ridiculous deep fried thing on this dish.
Because those are crazy.
And definitely exotic from our
Yeah.
perspective.
And I
Yeah.
don't mean crazy in a bad way, but crazy in the sense that, people really will go in all directions for food because that's the fun of it. I mean, I remember I used to laugh at the thought that there was the deep fried there's the deep fried sodas and the deep fried
Oh, yeah.
and the deep
Deep
fried
fried Tang.
yeah, and then
Kool-Aid. Deep fried Kool-Aid.
there was the Twinkies, the deep
Yeah, of
fried Twinkies,
course.
which was like, what? Why are they doing all these crazy things? But then if you think about it, why not? If you
Just
can,
try it,
you can
right? Figure out a
celebrate
way to
food.
do the process. Okay.
There's shiokara from Japan, which is squid intestines fermented in their own guts.
Okay.
There's bocada de bode from Brazil, which is goat intestines.
Okay.
There's koi guinea pig from Peru. I guess it's a
It's
roasted
like a
pig.
whole tiny pig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then century eggs again. Stuffed moose heart from Canada.
Oh wow, it looks really big.
And moose are huge.
Yeah, that's why the heart is
Oh
huge.
my god. Fruit bat soup in Palau. Crocodile skewers in Australia.
Okay.
Jellied moose nose in Canada.
And I guess because that's just to break it down, like then you
But then
boil it
again,
and
if you're already
jelly
finding
process
that
it.
weird, there's kapal mooks, which is a full face as well of
Yeah, yeah, but
so
pig
bull's intestines,
testicles.
uh, uh, testicles from Argentina,
Mm-hmm.
um, the dancing shrimp
Oh, in
from
Thailand.
Thailand,
Okay.
because it's live shrimp doused in sauces. There's muktuk in Greenland, Canada. It's the skin and blubber of a bowhead narwhal or beluga whale cut into chunks.
Okay. Tricky food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's the list.
Mark shares for some people lengua is exotic. He remembers a cousin raving a party had great and soft beef, and her eyes went wide when I said it was tongue. Yeah, and then like it's just a lot of people like who just don't know, right? Who just haven't experienced it, and then as kids, but just it's interesting for children who like have an easier time embracing new food because everything is new, and then they're just taught to think of certain things as being weird, and then it's like how if you look at a lot of the um if you look at the like how a lot of western media for children will have them going ew at vegetables, and
Mm.
it seems innocent in itself, but then that's like a learned predisposition that you're inculcating the next generation to teach them that vegetables aren't fun,
Mhm.
and it's kind of chicken and egg because they'll argue like no, they're just depicting what's a behavior that they see in children, and then they try to address it,
Mhm.
but then sometimes because the stereotype comes up so often and then it's super reinforced, so there's um the world has a wide range of cuisine that is only limited by the imagination and access to ingredients of any one
Mhm.
particular person you go to. So it's definitely like a need to just try more things and see how it goes. Oh, Noel shared a thing that when he was still an omnivore, he accidentally ate horse tapa, mm, and had an adverse reaction after. I hope I sorry about that.
Mhm.
Okay, so what's like I guess then what was like one of the most exciting things you ever tried? Like you weren't expecting it or whatever, and then it just blew your mind.
Hmm.
Toby's thinking about home.
Hmm.
Really?
I'm not sure because a lot of them blow my mind so much, and more was, oh, okay, so that's what it tastes like.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Like our whatever woodworm experience, it
mm-mm,
was delightful, but then it's not like now I must travel to Palawan to eat
mm-mm,
it. You know,
mm-mm,
it was fun to do while there. Okay. Um, I think for me in recent years is like a lot of the was this as much as I'm on keto, actually a lot of the innovations
mm-hmm,
for making keto work still surprise me. Like my sister found a recipe to make fried chicken, but then since the breading and batter is normally not keto friendly, she found a recipe that used unflavored whey protein powder,
mm-hmm,
which you think normally just for like bodybuilding people. And it was surprising because then it tasted like sort of legitimate American Southern fried
mm-hmm.
chicken, despite the fact that it was battered in more protein. So, fun little things. Kenny, yes, as a kid, I thought broccoli looks cool to eat since they're small trees, but was influenced immediately. It was gross. I didn't try it until I was an adult. Yeah, see, and then other things that happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, Mark feels that the salmon sashimi experience was like
Yeah, I
that
mean,
mind
if
blowing.
I were to count way back, then I think it would be the Alugbati, because that really
Alagbati.
was a game changer for me and realizing how much I enjoyed it
Mm,
and
mm.
wanting to be able to eat it more. Um, yeah, I think it would be that.
I'm thinking what else? What are like quirky things? Because like even just going to icebergs with you just taught me that ice cream can get ridiculous,
Hmm.
and apparently not for sharing.
Well, everything's not for sharing with the right person.
How dare you? Mark says, well prepared lengua. Hey, to be fair, I can agree with that. The first time I had lengua, it was like, oh my gosh,
Mm-mm.
this is like butter. You know, it's like super soft,
It like
delicate
super melts
lengua.
in your mouth.
Oh, I think I felt the same way about tripe,
Mm,
which is funny. But then when I first like really tried tripe,
mm,
and then I just learned to super appreciate it. So then I learned to love both kare kare and kalyos,
mhm.
which both made good use of it. And then in fact, I would kind of go out of my way to get the tripe, whereas everybody just wants the regular meat, but the tripe really made the experience for me.
I
Ironic
did,
that I
I
haven't
did,
had it since then.
I did have a huge positive reaction to realizing blue cheese worked well with ice cream.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
a ooh, this is really good moment for me.
Yeah, you and your food combinations. It's a lot of experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, I'm not. I wish I knew. Kenny, which one are you referring to that says this is now his motto? What is your motto now? I scared. I scared. Okay. And then of course Noel had a joke. Ooh, what else? How about everyone else in the who's still in the chat? We're like, what are things that you weren't sure you were gonna like, but then when you first tried it, it was like wowza, and you haven't gone back
And I
since then.
guess what would be something you're hoping to someday try?
Oh, let's try to tackle that
Hmm.
one.
So for me, that definitely is fugu.
Ooh,
The
okay.
idea that it's, that dangerous, already makes me want to see what would it be like. How the supposedly, and this is probably anecdotal, but that the masters prepare it with just enough venom or poison,
To
so
to numb your mouth a
your
bit.
mouth will go
Yeah.
numb, but then it's still okay. Oh, that's like very interesting.
Mitch says kimchi is something I didn't like before when it
Mm.
grew on me. Hey, that's true. That's true. I felt the same way about kimchi. And
Mm.
your first encounter with kimchi is like it's terribly smelly and strange, but then yeah, it works out. Um, huh. Mark does share that green eggs and ham does fit into this topic. Oh, that is true, and that is a 50-word book.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, everything is not for sharing unless you're the right person. Actually, yeah.
There was also that time when um capers
Mm.
and those tiny pickles just super blew me away.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then you just wanted it with every meal.
Mm-mm.
We kept buying the little pickles.
We still have it in the ref, actually. I
Yeah,
just
yeah. We
haven't
always
been
we
having
always
it.
keep some. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For contrast and flavor. In terms of things to try, which is like not necessarily a super quote unquote exotic cuisine, but I still want to go through like a full omakase experience
Mm.
where I,
Have
sit
them prepare.
and just let them prepare whatever and take me on a sushi journey.
But that's the thing. I don't know if I want a sushi journey or if I want those MoMA really go
Oh,
crazy.
the yeah, with the whole new gastro whatever
Yeah, and they're like,
experiments.
this is this new thing. We've aged it for 3 years, and it's the shavings of meat with, stuff like that, and just to see these really strange dishes and try it.
Kenny says a huge fan of dinuguan after having a
Mm.
really good one in his college cafeteria, although with rice. Can't have it alone or with puto. Actually, then we got only later in life that I got to try dinuguan with puto, and then I think I kind of enjoyed that a bit more, depending on the puto. Okay,
Mark is less experimental with age. That's interesting.
and I think that's fair. It depending on how adventurous you were before, and
Or
then like
maybe you're more conscious on how much it costs.
there
So,
is that, or
what?
just
I paid that for this?
yeah, or a lot more caution so that you don't like have stomach
That's
problems in
true.
other countries. That's the only flip side. Like when you're visiting another country and then you decide to try whatever crazy foods, and then you regret it in more ways than one. So that can complicate things. Um, Other things uh, and I don't necessarily think in terms of individual dishes. I think of it in terms of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then it's a lot of like authentic this and authentic that. Like I'd like I don't know some French chef to like take me through a multiple course
Mm-hmm.
meal. Um, so yeah, so I think it's a lot of. There was a time that I was obsessing over tasting menus. To try,
Mm-hmm.
not that we did a lot. It's like I just wanted to because we kept watching Chef's Table on
Yeah.
Netflix, and then like, oh, I really want to try a tasting menu, and then we look it up and like, oh, it's expensive, and then like, I'm not sure if we're ready for this. So we haven't like gone that
Noel
journey.
also adds, it's because you already know what you like, so
That's true.
you're not really that excited
In
for
terms of like
more.
being less adventurous with age, and it's
That makes
not
sense.
and it's not a problem. See, yeah, Mark does say the conscious about what you eat while traveling. Yeah, you don't want to get stuck with a bump stomach in a foreign bathroom.
Mhm.
That is an exotic experience we could do without. Okay.
Yes.
But hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Risk big, win big. Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything else that we want to bring up. Kenny does say that some of your food combinations could be considered quote unquote exotic, and
Mm.
that's true because they are very very unfamiliar to people. But hey, Toby, they work. What was that? What was that response?
It was a response.
It was a response, and this is why there will have to be an episode of why I think Toby is a dog.
No! You're waiting for me to make a sound. I'm not making
He's
a sound.
trying to control his reaction so he doesn't sound like a dog. It's okay, he's my dog. Didn't make it better.
I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I know. Fictional food.
Fictional food.
So, what would be fictional food? For example, I'm very, very curious about replicator food. Because
Star Trek
because
replicator food.
supposedly they say it's
It's
replicated, so
it's
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 close to the actual.
molecularly the same, but then they always argue it never quite
Yes,
tastes the
and
same.
that
Okay.
makes me all the more want to try it. So, is it like just the difference between having ramen and instant ramen?
Mm.
So it's
Speaking of sorry, it's like though like all those people who collect military ready to eat meals,
yes,
and then like it's a
MREs,
cuisine
yeah.
in itself.
Mm-mm.
In the same way that I was so excited when we first bought space food.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a super 80s thing, height of the space shuttle program.
Everything's super dehydrated.
Space food started circulating around, and they're like, "Ooh, space ice cream!" And then it's this dry, chalky thing. Then you feel bad for your astronauts. Like, this is what they eat. What
So
is this?
Mark shares large anime meat.
Oh, okay. Oh. I mean, like, if we're going to go fictional food, I want anything on Cooking Master Boy because I want to cry and remember my childhood while eating.
I'll be having the different dishes from Studio Ghibli movies.
Oh, which is like, they're it's better than real. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
That's what it is. Um, Um. Oh yes, space food like sucking on toothpaste. I got some of those too. We got the toothpaste
And then it's
soup
supposed to
or
be meat or
something, or like,
something. Yeah.
oh my god.
So Kenny's curious about the bread. That's at
Oh,
Lembas, right?
lembas bread in Lord
And
of the
Lord of the
Rings.
Rings.
Mm.
Noel wants to try Birdie Bot's every flavored beans.
But only the good flavors. And
And the close thing is the jelly
there are
beans.
the jelly beans that do try to like throw you for a whirl
And
in
they
weird
do have
flavors.
bad flavors too. Tom mentions Solient Green. Well, we know what that tastes like.
Chicken.
Lasalians.
Everything tastes like chicken. I'm not gonna go there. Okay. And then yeah, and Mitch affirms that NASA had those dehydrated snacks in their museum souvenir shops. Surprisingly, I remember seeing it would show up in novelty shops
Yes.
here in the Philippines.
Yes.
And then I know there was one time because there was a time we kept visiting Cardinal Santos. Cardinal Santos had the weirdest like snack whatever gift shop at the ground floor. And
Mhm.
then I know there's one time they had space food. And they're like,
Mhm.
what? And we got some. It became a Starbucks. It's totally gone now. But like the previous one. Huh. Mitch is not curious or has no interest in the Snowpiercer food.
Mhm.
Okay. Which is totally exotic when you think about it by current definitions.
Tom also mentions grilled octopus in peanut butter,
Oh, that sounds like a Toby combination right there.
but it's like kare kare.
That's
Seafood
this
kare
is
kare.
this is Toby's instant answer whenever you put peanut butter on something. He'll argue it's like kare kare. I mean, like you could argue it's like satay sauce, right? Because
Which is,
it's a, literally a peanut
which is
sauce.
watery kare kare. See,
Ah,
this is my normal.
it's an interesting bar to say the least. Okay. Um, what else? I don't know the fictional side for oh
Microwaved food in Spy Kids, according to Kenny.
oh, you know
Whoa,
what?
whoa!
Like
You
when
saw that?
I
We had a weird signal moment.
when my sister and I first watched Green Eggs and Ham,
Hmm.
and then it became this. I don't know. My sister got obsessed with. I want to try fried green tomatoes. Sorry, when we watched
Hmm.
fried green tomatoes, it's like she wanted to do fried green tomatoes, and then we requested that we grocery for fried tomato. Sorry, for green tomatoes at the grocery. Then she sliced them up. She battered them. We had them, and then like okay, it's a it's a battered sour tomato.
Mark shares, I only ate peanut butter with banana via Belgian waffle.
Oh, interesting. I've eaten many
Blown
a thing.
away.
Eaten many a thing with peanut butters and
Mhm.
bananas and Toby's different desserts back in the day when I could still have like
Noel
desserts.
shares, technically, kare kare doesn't have peanut butter, but ground peanuts, that's true, but that also takes so long to prepare.
But you could just say, but my peanut butter is ground peanuts. Someone else did the grinding for me. It's right up there with sinigang mix versus like fresh sampalo, I
Mm,
guess.
that's
Okay.
true.
I mean, it's a the balancing act, or worse, using a packet of stuff.
See, now I'm thinking of Betamax with peanut butter.
Okay,
That seems yum.
sure. I remember any other fictional foods. I was once curious about uh oh in Hook when the Lost Boys imagine food. It's like what
That was well done.
right, and then the food looked weird, but it super looked like what kids would
Those
imagine food to
almost
be.
neon creamy foods.
Yeah, they kind of could be space food, but they were like, instead of super dehydrated, they were super wet, and they were perfect for a food fight. It was just, it was just funny.
So there was that show, um, Double Dare.
Okay,
That
we're
would
going
have
back to Double
that would
Dare.
have a lot of those
Giant food things.
whipped cream and chocolate smeared all over the slide and stuff.
Yes.
I wanted to try those.
No, and we know now from all the behind the scenes coverage of Double Dare that the place stank because the food would
And everything was
suffer under
moist.
the hot lights. Yeah, yeah. So that is, oh boy. Oh, and Kenny says the food in the Archer cartoon series is so decadent
Mm.
that he wants to try. Yeah. Or I almost felt that way about many Dr. Seuss depictions of food because they're
Mm.
never like normal meat, not just green eggs and ham, but and look at food in general across Dr. Seuss books.
Yeah.
It's always like, what are these things, right? And then I feel a lot of them were like inspired by Jello,
Mm.
and it's a lot of like wiggly things. Oh man, oh man. Betamax with peanut butter would be dinuguan na kare-kare.
Yes. That's why I was thinking it sounded yummy. And to make it better, you have the peanut butter frozen into a ball, and then you do the Betamax. So it's like peanut butter surprise when you bite.
Why is it called Betamax?
Because they were in rectangular black squares.
Oh,
So
and
they
it
look
kind
like
of
the
looks like
Betamax tapes.
tapes. Okay, okay, I'll accept this logic. Oh, Mark also speaks in favor of the food in Dragon Ball Z. To be fair, the Dragon Ball Z also included a literal depiction of some sort of heaven, so there was like really good stuff. Okay, okay. I am sad we have learned many things today. This was
Mhm.
a interesting episode. It's just a shame that we didn't have Aina, our typical
Yeah.
Tuesday night food expert, to further enlighten us on things. But hopefully, she can catch the recording, like many of you, and and enjoy this in the future. So, final thoughts, Toby, for today's episode.
Um, in as much as the food critics and the purists in the world will hate it, the fact remains that a lot of what is exotic or quote unquote rare might become either commonplace or ordinary
Mm.
if if the world continues to celebrate fusion and all that, which for me is a great thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would be very happy to see the trend of food being more available to continue. Again, coming from a time when to have sushi or pizza was to save up for a 5-star restaurant. Um, so I can't wait for the day where you could literally go, tara, let's buy fugu in the supermarket and stuff like that. Because then that means there's no longer artificial exoticism of such foods, and they're now much more available.
Tom does say that, but come to think of it, most Victorian dishes may sound exotic by today's standards.
Yeah,
Ooh,
like the
there
meat
is
jellos.
there is a YouTube channel where they try to prepare dishes in traditional ways.
Yes,
Or if you watched Lords and Laddles
yes, that one too.
on that TV series, they would celebrate old castles and then the sort of cuisine they would have at the time appropriate to
Mhm.
the castle, and they
As
try to
close
cook
as
it.
they
Yeah, they
can.
try to approximate the food.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the passage of time has totally changed food, and a lot of things seem a lot more archaic
Hmm.
now in hindsight, only because so much has transitioned. And then I think for me, like speaking of the culinary aspect, on the flip side, I feel like a lot of times more quote unquote exotic encounters end up being just very creative plating. And then
Mm.
I think that presentation of the food plays a very big role in like how you perceive it. And so even just the photo I used to promote today's episode, for the life of me, I can't even remember what it is. And looking at it, it's like some sort of a deconstructed, I don't know, some sort of salad or something.
Hmm.
And just because of the way it was presented, it's like I don't remember anymore. And sometimes impressive plating can like change you. What is it? Can change your mind about things and make it, because it makes it unfamiliar
It
again.
makes it exciting.
It makes it exciting, and then you dig in, and then like, oh, I just ate a grilled cheese sandwich,
Mm.
things like that. But those are the rubs when you go through these things.
Yeah, and I think to close, as long as we don't go to deconstructed polvoron as the future of food, then I think we're in a good place. To everyone watching, um, this is where this episode ends. But on Thursday, we are talking about the Fantastic Four because it's a franchise we love. And maybe we might think about how it might fit in with the overall cinematic universe.
Yeah, it's coming to the MCU, folks.
Friday, we're talking all about resolving arguments because, sometimes people fight and fighting can be healthy, can be toxic, but in the end, we'll fight about it.
And then lastly, which is like not super like on the Baduy Pride schedule, but
Mhm.
then Toby and I are like bouncing around the ideas like, should we try hanging out again on Fridays or something? And maybe every Friday is too often, but then like I know I left a post on my wall
Mhm.
that's not necessarily visible to everyone, but like if it's what if people are open to the idea of like some sort of an online hangout, and then I don't even want to say that like it's not even for games,
Mhm.
it's just like having an open call to hang out because I think we're all feeling the crunch of the on of the quarantine, and then like we're re-exploring like how to get around to like socializing with people again. And
Yes.
yeah, just so I just we're just bouncing ideas out, and then I would love to hear your thoughts on it, like would you participate and all that, even if we don't know what to say, even if we don't have an activity,
Mhm.
even if we're not drinking, I don't know, but people can drink, but all that. So I'm just trying to figure out what to do. All right. um Noel, you drank that stuff. We just watched.
Yeah, we just enjoyed that.
That was fun.
There's a lot of likes
All right. All right. So for questions or suggestions for future episodes, you can fill up the
on the
Google
quack.
form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. Today's episode was a suggestion by Kenny. Sorry, we had to unpack the exotic term, but I think
Mhm.
the resulting discussion was exciting and delicious. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Altobi No Shade, RG
You
Suniko.
could also check out our blog, badaypray.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what are your exciting food experiences, or what dish did you try changed your world and now it may seem ordinary because you have it more often. Those are those are the fun things in life. And be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether or Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And
And
this
this
is
is
Baduy
Baday
Pride.
Pride.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Stay safe.
Mine. Sabi online